Welcome to Randy's Tropical Plants. Today is brought to you by this beauty, which is a red tower ginger. There's a little bit of confusion as to what the actual species is. Almost the entire plant trade calls this Costus barbatus, but I've talked to some botanists that insist that it is not Costus barbatus, it is actually Costus camosus barkeri. Either way, it's a beautiful plant, and since everybody tends to call this Costus barbatus, I'm going to continue calling it that. It's a beautiful neotropical ginger. It's in the Costaceae family, so it has true stems, so it can be reproduced via stem cuttings. This plant, which I don't know if you can capture, it's getting quite large. I mean, it's almost as tall as me now. It was really more of a volunteer than anything else. I kind of tossed a little what I thought to be dead chunk of rhizome over here in this bed, and this is its second season now. And as you can see, it's blooming up a storm. We got flower here, flowers down here, and more over there, and more way over there. There's one buried in this camellia over here. Now, the thing about this plant, frequently on Randy's Tropical Plants, I'll talk about plants that are a good choice for northern gardeners. This is not a good choice for northern gardeners unless you have a heated greenhouse. The reason for that is that they bloom on last year's foliage. This year's foliage, which is this big tall stuff up here, it's not going to bloom. It might bloom next year, but usually it's the stuff that grows later in the summer that blooms in the following spring. So if you live someplace where it freezes, you're not likely to ever see blooms on this unless you really baby it in indoors, I guess. I don't know. It's not likely to work. In a heated greenhouse, you could do it. But again, it wouldn't be my first choice to suggest to northern gardeners for that very reason. One of the coolest things about this plant, and a lot of other members of the Costus genus, is that these flower buds can be removed before they open, and you can use them in salads and stuff. They're edible, and they're absolutely delicious. They have a sort of sour and sweetness, and they're crunchy, sort of like lettuce or maybe like a cucumber, and they're really pretty, this pretty yellow color. And so they stand out in your salad, and it's just a really fun thing to do. People won't know what the hell they are. I love them. I love this plant. I actually have it planted all over the place, and I've got lots of it for sale. So if you want some, if you live in anywhere in the Southern California or the Gulf states, or certainly anywhere in Florida, you can make this plant grow. And it is a heavy feeder. It does not like direct sunlight. You need to feed it a lot, though, if you want to get all these flowers on it. You can tell if they're not blooming, it's almost always because it's not getting enough food. And this thing gets to be 6-7 feet tall, and this thing is still small. This plant is not a big specimen. It'll eventually get much larger. I don't know if I'm going to leave it here because it's kind of choking out the camellia that it's growing right next to. I didn't really intend for it to grow there. It just kind of came up and I let it grow. But it is a beautiful specimen. You'll notice that a lot of these blooming ones have burns on their leaves, and that's actually from a late frost that we had, and that's why this is not a good plant for a northern grower. You don't want to grow it in full sun. You want to grow it in bright shade, and otherwise it's a pretty easy plant to grow. Just feed it a lot. Plant it in a nice bright shady spot and feed it a lot, and it'll do just fine. Now, these flowers are nearing the end of their blooming cycle, and eventually these will start coming higher up and higher up and higher up until they're coming out the top, and that's when you know it's done. This one over here is done. But these have been blooming since early March. This is the end of June, so you get months and months out of these flowers, and they make excellent cut flowers. They don't have any fragrance. but they're absolutely stunning, and they really turn heads. They really stand out in your garden. This bright canary yellow against this beautiful, beautiful red. It's one of my favorite gingers. Really, really, truly is. And one of the easier ones to grow if you're in a subtropical or tropical climate. This has been Costus barbatus, the red tower ginger, on Randy's Tropical Plants.